What's up? We are back with episode number 278.
278?
278. We're pushing up towards 300.
Jeez Louise.
Not going to be long. We may even make it this year. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how many is that? 25? We got 25 weeks left of the year.
We're a little over than half over we're more than halfway over the halfway mark. Gosh.
Yep. So we may not make it. Might be 2026. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We got Tony Clem checking in. Tony, we got AZ Mick checking in. And ABJR, who posts on all my videos. So I appreciate you watching, brother. Right on. Let's get into it. So you guys got any shout outs? I know we lost another rock warrior today.
Is that the guy from Kick-Axe?
Yep, Larry Gilstrom of Kick-Axe passed away. I guess he played a few shows with the band at the end of last year, and then he has cancer, and then he finally succumbed to that. So Damien Hair Metal checking in. Damien, Shannon Fry, Avenger of Blood.
Yes.
So yeah, we got seeing a lot of our musical heroes, passing on into eternity, but
it's crazy how they just they seem to like go in groups.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I think of he's fairly young. He's probably our age. I mean, he's got to be in his late 50s to early 60s, and then you got guys like Mick Jagger and what's his name, the guitar player from the Rolling Stones, whose name is Keith Richards. Yeah, how that are still hanging in there and still playing shows. And I'm like, how?
Wow. How are they? Even guys like Biff Byford, they're from Saxon. He's Halford's pushing 70.
I think Halford is 70.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And they're about to tour again.
And Steven Tyler is the same way. I mean, there's a lot of those guys up there, but man, we're losing a lot of the youngers in their 50s and 60s too. But I don't know. I can't say this about Larry because I didn't know him, but I'm sure a lot of it is due to lifestyle choices and how tough a lot of these bands were in the 70s and 80s on their bodies.
Well, even Keith Richards, I mean, he still smokes. He didn't look good when I saw him last time they came through town, though. He was leaning up against something while he was playing. He wasn't walking around or doing much on stage. So
I saw you leaning up against a post, but I was tired.
Was he tied to the whipping post?
I was tired.
But I just saw Willie and Dylan 2 weeks ago, and they're in their late 80s and early 90s, and they're both,
still doing it.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure, man. Cancer is a complete douche. So many people that we've lost because of cancer, and who knows?
Now's the worst time to die of cancer too, because I have all these breakthroughs happening right now and in testing and stuff. So it sucks.
Boy, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do know people in the medical biz, and it would be a real shame if they actually had a cure, but they just, it's the hospitals need patients to make money. Big Pharma needs patients to make money. So I don't know. Anyway, we're not here to pontificate about politics.
And be all sad and bummed out.
No.
Right on. So Steve, you got any shout outs?
No, nothing today. I'm good.
Right on.
I will say if that Dylan and Willie show comes near you, man, it's worth going to. Holy shit, that was good.
What show were you at last night? I saw you I think it was last night. You were at a show yesterday?
Yeah, I took my wife to see Collective Soul.
Okay.
Live. They're both big 90s bands. And Collective Soul was from here. Both bands were good, but man, Collective Soul was a good show. They played all their hits, but man, that singer is one of the cheesiest guys on stage. He's wearing this like electric blue suit, and the suit pants or shorts. And he came out with his cowboy hat on, but he had the cowboy hat on backwards for like the first two songs before he realized it and flipped it around. And then he had like blue glitter on his chair. It was so ridiculous, man. So over the top.
Well,
so, yeah.
At least he's trying to be a showman and not just to get up there in his blue jeans and sneakers and stare at his shoes. So
yeah.
Is there anybody's speaking of cheese? Anybody interested in seeing the David Lee Roth tour?
Nah.
I mean, if I got cheap tickets or something, I wouldn't mind going to see him. I've heard he actually sounds a lot better these days, and and the show's pretty good, but I don't know. I mean,
who's in his band, I wonder.
No idea.
Yeah,
but
yeah, he's playing the casino just up the road from us.
I mean, I saw David Lee Roth in the Eat 'Em and Smile tour, and that, I mean, there's just no way he's ever going to top that lineup or that show.
No, even that last tour he did with Van Halen, like that Van Halen in Japan, I didn't think he sounded good on there.
Well, that live album they put out was horrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the live from Japan.
Yeah,
that was awful.
But Eat 'Em and Smile, he was good. And was Cinderella?
Brother Lee's here. What's up, Brother Lee? George, our brother George, who was on the show just last week, I believe it was, or was it week before last? I think it was last week. And I see Scott is wearing an English band shirt too. Yes, I am wearing a $7
easy on
Rolling Stone shirt from Sam's Club. I was in there the other day, and they had this clearance band shirts, and most of the crap I didn't care about, but like, oh, cool, that's a cool Stone shirt. I'll grab that for $7.
I'm wearing the shirt of a band that was metal at one time. No,
I got that hat on too.
Yeah, you could even pull those for today's episode since we're non-metal.
Yeah, I know, but it's non-metal or non-hard rock, so you got they're at least a hard rock band at most points.
Well, speaking of which, today's episode of Carcass John's Alter Ego on 128 dB Rock is bands that change their sound or their genre, and right out of the gates, I'm going to play Metallica, Fight Fire with Fire, and then something off of Saint Anger. And you tell me there's not a vast difference in that giant chasm between records.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not even the biggest difference. The biggest difference would have been like that and is it Refuel? No.
Load and Reload.
Reload, thank you.
Fuel and Refuel.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Play Lulu.
Yeah,
right.
You're gonna play some Voivod on there. That's
I do have a Voivod track. I have something off the first album in the queue, and then I have something from Outer Limits, which is basically a classic rock record.
Yeah, they changed their sound so many times.
And then I end up. I'm going to end with Morbid Angel. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Rob. For the
Voivod's one of the few though that every time they changed their sound, it worked. You know, it was all just good.
They're quirky and weird.
There it is
in a good way.
Yeah,
yeah. I have the tracks, and they. I mean, it's industrial for sure, and if you like that, and man, Steph really loves. She's like, man, I dig this, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's not Morbid Angel. So. You go from Altars of Madness to that.
And that's what people don't understand. It's not Morbid Angel.
But
it's not supposed to be Morbid Angel. It is their music, but they've had all these guys come in, all these electronic guys and techno guys, and make it into their music. So it's really a compilation of all these different bands making. Because what's industrial music, man? It's all a bunch of sampling and
True.
So, but yeah, it's. I'd rather listen. I'll tell you what. I'd rather listen to that album than Lulu.
Oh, yeah. That's
or for that matter, Saint Anger.
I'd
listen to Limp Bizkit before I'd listen to any one of those two. But anyhow,
have you seen all the video memes going around about Metallica with what Metallica would sound like with a bad drummer, and it's just Metallica?
Oh, Lars, we give him such grief, but
Oh,
it's like I mentioned on my. I'm going to mention later that Metallica is one of the great cover bands of our time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, they play all that stuff, all that "Am I Evil" and stuff from Budgie and Bread Fan or whatever. But nobody knew. They thought, man, these guys are killer. This music is great. They just never bothered to say, yeah, well, this is a European band that nobody knows about. And they just thought it was Metallica being great. But
"Am I Evil" is the best song Metallica ever released. That's still my favorite.
I love their version of that song, and it is the song that got me into Diamond. I didn't know who Diamond was before that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but talk about a one-hit wonder.
What's up, Dimebag Dave?
Anyway,
got Pete. All right, well, I do have one thing I wanted to show. I got an advanced copy of the new Triton Alliance album in the mail, the CD. So if you're into prog metal or prog rock or whatever you want to call this stuff, this is a fantastic collection, and it's got a huge fat book, and there's no lyrics in the book because the Larry Dean, who is the guitar player, vocalist, main guy in the band, he wrote the entire history of the band. I mean, it's like literally a book. And then on top of that, he wrote notes, and on each song, it's on the compilation, why he chose that song, what they were thinking when they wrote that song. It's really, really a cool package.
Is that a re-record? Did they go back in and re-record those songs, or did they just grab?
No, it's a compilation. It's a compilation of all their songs from past albums, and chosen by him. So yeah, it's not re-recorded, but it is all remastered by the great Rob Caldwell. So, and it sounds spectacular.
You almost said Rob Halford there. I caught that.
All right, on. So before we get into our program, we have some business we need to attend to.
I could throw anything. I could throw anything up there. I just want to hear the song. But anyway, well, I've been on a.
Whoops! Sorry.
What happened?
I clicked the button by mistake. Sorry.
I was going to say I've been on a Kiss bender here lately.
And me too. That's funny.
I've just decided that I'm going to just listen to every record that they ever put out, good, bad, or indifferent, and I can't get this one off the turntable.
That's my favorite.
It's still one of my favorite. I go back and forth between that one and Hotter Than Hell, but they're just fantastic.
I have a new appreciation for Hotter Than Hell. And but Dressed to Kill used to be my favorite, and we have a family story about that too. But this thing is really good, man. So my rock and roll pick of the week is Rock and Roll Over, and I think that if you're any type of good music collector or metalhead, you should have this in your collection. And I think I mentioned this once before, but before you go into your metal pick, let me show you something real quick. Okay.
I just picked this up recently. This thing is fantastic. It's literally the band live in '73, and there's like 4 tracks on here that they never recorded. Life in the Woods, Simple Type, 3 tracks, and Acrobat, all of which are like 8 minutes long. Really good, and surprising sound quality. You can get this thing at, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the store. It'll come to me, and I'll let you know. But anyhow, if you're into that early Kiss stuff, it's pretty cool.
Okay. Well,
Rockadrome. You get it at Rockadrome.
Yes. It's just down the road from me. I just drive down there and grab one. Okay.
Does he have a storefront?
He has his house.
Oh, okay.
And his garage and a huge.
I buy so much shit from him.
Yeah, a large living room with lots of record racks. Okay, look. You can say what you want about Testament. You can say what you want about Exodus. You can say what you want about Metallica. You can say what you want about any of those Bay Area bands. But for me, this album right here is the pinnacle. Heathen, Sadist, I've seen them all. Blind Illusion. But man, Violence, Eternal Nightmare is an absolute masterpiece. And this is the remastered double album on Wax Maniacs Records. And it's got a bunch of previously unreleased. It's got Kill on Command or Torture Tactics, Eternal Nightmare from the Mechanic demo, Paraplegic, Bodies on Bodies from the Mechanic demo, Kill on Command from the Mechanic demo. The CD actually has a live show, and you can hear me screaming at the stage on it because I was there. But anyway, Violence, Eternal Nightmare is a must-have. And say what you want. I remember the whole story because my friend Mikey Bonaventura used to tech for Phil Demmel, the guitarist, and I have a demo tape and I've yet to find it, but it's on my list of things to dig for. But they were MCA when they signed with them and did Oppressing the Masses. They were trying to get Sean to change his vocal pattern and become more. I don't know, like they really like the Death Angel thing. So they were trying to get him to sing like that. And I thought, no, don't do that. Because that's what makes Violence so unique is that his cadence and his vocal pattern almost follows the melody and the guitar. It was almost like a third guitar. And so anyway, Violence, Eternal Nightmare is my metal pick of the week all day, every day. And of course, Rock and Roll Over by Kiss. Can't go wrong with either one.
And there you have it. The pick of the week.
I love that theme song. Thank you.
We are so professional now.
We are professional. That's bad to the bone.
Okay, so we got a few comments here. Budgie, we talked about them quite a bit. Was it last week? Yep, great Kiss. I agree. It's rock and roll over. I don't know. I say it's my favorite, and then I say Hotter Than Hell is my favorite the next day. So it just depends. There's just so many cool.
It's pretty rare that I tell people to buy the reissues of any albums. Those 2014 reissues of all the Kiss albums sound so good. I recommend those over any of the originals. They did such a good job on those.
Yep.
Metal Kev with us.
We'll try and keep the language to a PG-13 if you're listening at work, unless you work at a tattoo shop or a mechanic place.
Or a brothel.
I'm not judging anybody, man.
Shannon said Creatures of the Night is their best. And that's a favorite of mine, too. It'd probably make my top 5.
I see the thing is people want to complain about Kiss and that, after the original 4 left, blah, 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 they're not that good. Man, even those other albums are good. Creatures of the Night, that's another good one. I actually listened to Monster. I thought I was going to start at the beginning and then go to the end and then kind of work my way towards the middle. And I just listened to Monster, and that thing, that's pretty good record, man.
Psycho it's not bad. I don't know why people think it's such a horrible album. It's not horrible. It's just not their best. That's all.
Carnival of Souls.
Brother Lee is reminding us about Larry Gilstrom. Yeah, we talked about him right on the top of the show, passing away. It's a bummer.
Yeah,
but hey, let's get into the show.
Canadian buddies, though,
because we're all in almost 20 minutes in, and I know we've all got at least 10 records to show. So this particular show is the non-metal show. We decided to show some of our favorites. I mean, obviously we all listen to hard rock and metal. We talk about it all the time, and it's pretty much all we talk about. I mean, I was playing Penetration in my car today, so I mean, you can't get much more metal than that, right?
Is that from the guy in Syracuse?
I don't know if they're from Syracuse or not.
That's the Penetration from Syracuse.
Oh, yeah, it could be. I don't know. I didn't know they were from. This is where their album's Return to Sodom, but anyhow, it's just I don't just call it brutal death metal. But let's get into it. We'll just start with Steve, and we'll go around clockwise, and we'll just start showing off some of our favorite non-metal, non-hard rock albums. See what everybody else says.
Favorite. These are just some cool ones to check out. Some of these are my favorites. This is my favorite from this particular artist. So we were just talking before the show. I just saw Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan a week and a half ago, and decided to pull out my favorite Bob Dylan record of all time, and that's Desire. Most people talk about Blonde on Blonde and some of his other bigger albums. It doesn't get much better than this. This thing is so good. Hurricane is the hit track off of here, but it's actually, I think it's the weakest track on the album, which says a lot because that's a great track. But One More Cup of Coffee with Emmylou Harris is one of my favorite Dylan songs of all time. And it's just one of those 10-star records.
Right on.
Okay.
What you got, John?
Well, I'm going to get this out of the way because it's a cassette. I have a cassette. Let's see if I can get the glare off of it. Right there. This is a DJ, and this is only available, one of 100, by a DJ named Flying Monk. This is Closing the Void, and I saw this guy perform this entire album in Amsterdam at a record store party. They had a place called Zwart Goud, which is black gold, and they had been open for 3 years, I think, at the time. And they invited me to a party there, and I saw this guy perform this whole thing, start to finish, and it was a game changer. The thing is about, and it's kind of a trip hop ambient. If you like Portishead, Massive Attack, Biosphere, that type of thing, Sneaker Pimps. This doesn't have the vocals; it lets the music do the talking, basically. But to see those guys actually work the sampler or do a drum track while they're performing and then cut and scratch with live vinyl, and it's not computered, and it's not there's no laptop where you push a button and then you act like you're turning buttons. It's nothing like that. It was actual real instrumentation. But anyway, Flying Monk, Closing the Void. It's on an obscure Japanese label called BFO. And anyway, this is one of my guilty pleasures. And I highly recommend it if you can find it. If not, go to Bandcamp and download the tracks for like $4.
Right on. I'm gonna go. I didn't get these in any particular order or anything, but I never know how to pronounce this guy's name, so excuse me if I say it wrong. But Jean-Michel Jarre, I believe is how you say it.
Jean-Michel Jarre, yeah.
Yep, that's what I said. I'm not sure if the J in Jarre is Jarre or how you do it, but in any case,
John Michael Jerry.
Yeah,
John Michael Jerry.
See, in Texas, that would make him a death row serial killer because he's got 3 first names. But anyway, that's a killer record.
It is a killer record, and I picked this up at a used store when I was a teenager because this came out. God, it had to be mid '70s, maybe even earlier than that. '72, I think. Like I said, maybe I don't know. I can't remember the year, but I picked it up because of the album cover. I mean, I really did. I was, back in this, didn't have YouTube and all that kind of stuff back in the '70s when I was buying records, and just saw it, bought it for a couple bucks, picked it up, and absolutely loved it. But I don't don't even know what you call this stuff. New wave.
It's like
electronic.
Electronic ambient soundscape. I think I told you that my art teacher used to let us bring in a record on Fridays, and we'd have drawing time for an hour, and we'd listen to records. Well, Chick Corea, that's how I got introduced to Chick Corea, but that was also one of the records that my teacher, Mike Stanner, brought in, and we listened to the heck out of that. And there's a second one that's got parts, 7 through 12.
Yep.
And then his brother actually does something similar. And just another cool fact, Jean-Michel Jarre came to Houston and used the city skyline to, it was like for a 4th of July bicentennial show or something, but he was shooting lasers off buildings, and it was all to music with fireworks and everything. And they've got it on, you can buy it on vinyl, the whole performance. But yeah, that's a great record. I love that record.
I have, and this is not his first album. I probably have 4 or 5 of his albums. But anyhow, so after buying this one, I obviously started looking for more, but definitely not hard rock or metal.
No.
But very, very well done. Very cool, especially if you just want something to chill to. It's, that's how it kind of. Yeah. So right on. You're up again, Steve.
So this next one's a very well-known band, especially if you're into glam. A lot of people, I don't hear many people talk about this record, though, and it's become one of my favorite. It's Brain Capers from Mott the Hoople. So this one, the early Mott the Hoople is almost like a Dylan sounding. They were kind of going for that Dylan sound. And this is them getting away from that. You still hear a little bit of that, but you're starting to hear the glam that they would become on the next couple records. And man, if you run across it, it's just fantastic. It was one that I do a live show on Friday nights with a couple of guys, and they played a song off of it, and it was something I had never heard before. I didn't even realize it was Mott the Hoople, and I went and bought this record the next day. So highly recommend picking this one up.
Yeah, I mean, you won't get an argument from me. I recommend any Mott the Hoople record, so because I love that band. But yeah, their first couple records were definitely different, and then they started getting into the more '70s glam style.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting a lot of comments. Appreciate all the comments. I'll keep putting them up. That's cool that somebody picked up the album because I recommended it. Thanks, Metal Kev. Appreciate you letting me know that.
Sure. And someone mentioned Eloy. That's a fantastic band. Their albums are a little hit and miss. They're kind of like nectar. It's like,
and they're still putting stuff out.
Yeah. I'm gonna follow Scott's example and get something more ambient. I don't know why people hate this record so bad, but I love this record. This is the most brutal technical death metal band going these days, but this album is not that at all. It's, well, like the label says, it says experience the new EP of the cosmic, cinematic, and epic dark analog psychedelia for those that love Tangerine Dream, Popol Vuh, and Dead Can Dance. This thing is a perfect ambient soundscape record. And once again, I guess that's how I clean my palate now that I'm thinking about it, between the Flying Monk and this Time Wave Zero by Blood Incantation. I put this on the turntable regularly, and I have it in a loop on my at my workstation here when I draw, because it's just so chill and it's so cool because it's cosmic and you can almost see the stars and the galaxies out and about all around you.
I just don't like it. I just don't like it on vinyl. That's more one because you need to listen to the whole thing nonstop.
And that's why I bought I bought the CD and the tape and the
when I
want to
listen to that, I stream it. I never pull out the record.
Well, and I tell you what, they do a live. There's a Blu-ray of this whole entire thing plus another track, and they did release another ambient record called All Gates Open, and when you buy the box set, you get that other album also. But it's along the same. It's 3 or 4 more tracks of basically Time Wave Zero, and if you buy the Blu-ray, you can watch the entire performance without interruption. It's pretty cool.
Right on. Well, my next one's going to be totally different from the last one, but
oh man, I love
Kraftwerk,
that.
Computer Worlds. Yeah, I mean, this is different sound from their earlier records. Obviously, they were kind of almost prog rock band and early on, but this is, I don't know what you call this.
Well, that's when they started getting good. Yeah, they put all the instruments away and just went to keyboards and loop machines and drum.
And computers. They were actually using computers at the time, and computers weren't exactly the what we have these days. Back when this thing came out,
Nintendo 64s or whatever.
Yeah, they did that one and Transatlantic and Autobahn. Man, those are
Autobahn. Yeah,
looks a bit like they look a bit like Devo on the back.
They still kind of look like that when they do their live shows.
Yeah, they're a little plastic looking.
But I don't know. I mean, I have several Kraftwerk albums, and I guess they're classified as krautrock, but this has just always been a favorite, and it's probably because I had, again, this is another one I picked up when I was literally a teenager, and back when I was a teenager, I didn't have this.
Yeah,
you had like 20 records or 30 records, so you were playing them a lot, and this is one of the ones I just played a lot, and I still like this band today, not just this record, but this is still one of my favorites. And I think I told the story once before, but I was playing that record one time, and my son, who was also an adult, says, "Dad, what are you listening to? Sounds like you're listening to somebody playing music on a calculator." So I was like,
and he would be right.
Yeah. So anyhow, Kraftwerk and Jean-Michel Jarre. Those are my 2 choices so far. You're way outside the metal spectrum.
All right, so my next one is one of my favorite records of all time. This is one of those records. It came out in 83, I think, or it was recorded in 83 and came out in 84. Oh, 82. Man, I'm way off. It came out in 82. I first heard this in 91 and thought it was a new record. And I remember playing it for somebody in the early 2000s, and they thought it was a new record. It's just one of those albums that was way ahead of its time. You've all heard songs from it. It's just one of those perfect albums, and none of their albums ever sounded like this again. But it's a self-titled album from the Violent Femmes from 1982. Mm-hmm. Man, this thing was so good. This album cover and then the sound, it just makes no sense. But man, these guys were the Pixies, and these guys were 90s alternative and all of that, 10 years before any of that happened. Of course, Blister in the Sun was the big hit off of this, but this entire album is fantastic. They kind of went country rock, alternative country rock after this, and I like that stuff too. But man, this is just one of those perfect moments in time. So, self-titled from Violent Femmes.
Nice pick.
Okay, I'm getting back into the rock scenario here. Elder. They used to be a 3-piece. I think they've added a keyboard player, which I really dig. I'm sort of into that high desert rock stuff that ventures, kind of like Earthless and King Buffalo, and not so much as Fu Manchu. Fu Manchu is just straight up rock and roll. But this has a little more ambience to it. Reflections of a Floating City is another good one. But this in particular, this is the Gold and Silver Sessions. It's got 3 tracks, and that's it. And it is, man, it varies between ambient rock and Pink Floyd, and there's a lot of going on for three guys plus a keyboard player, I guess, at times. But I can't recommend Elder highly enough. They're a solid band. They put out 9 records, and this is by far my favorite. And so once again,
I saw them last year. They opened for Tool, and man, they were fantastic. They were
I saw them opening for Wofat and Mothership one time. Here at Double Wide, which is a famous kind of a punk bar down in Deep Ellum in Dallas, and super nice guys. I mean, the Californians tend to be kind of nice, for some reason, very polite. Maybe it's just because they get out of their communist country for a while and they experience freedom and cheap gas. But anyway, they're touring again, and I can't recommend them highly enough because they're just really good. And anybody with nearly 10 records under their belt they're going to be good. That's just all there is to it. So I don't know I think they're playing Ripple Fest in Austin, which is my birthday weekend, the 19th through the 21st of September. We're going to go down there and check out Moss Generator, and then Mothership is back together, and they're headlining that Saturday night after Wofat plays. So it'll be kind of exciting, but Elder's not till the next day, I think. But see them if you can. They're great.
Right on. I'm going to show this one, and I really had a hard time picking one from this band. So basically what I did is I stuck my hand in the collection and grabbed one because there was just no way for me to pick one particular album as a favorite. But Ozric Tentacles, someone had to say it.
Well,
Jurassic Shift.
I'm gonna second your notion because everyone expected me to pull out Ozric Tentacles, but what I did is I pulled out one from one of their side projects. And funny, the colors kind of match. This is Eat Static, which is Joey Hinton and Merv Pepler, the bass player.
Right on. Yeah, I almost did the same thing. Pulled out one of the Ed Wynn solo projects because I thought, he's going to show this. But I'm like, you know what? I love if I'm in the mood. This band there's no better band.
And that's a great record. That is stellar.
Yeah, and I was a few years ago. Oh gosh, maybe 8-9 years ago now. I was dealing with some stupid ass depression that was driving me up a friggin' wall, and Carcass John, made me this killer CD compilation of Jurassic of Ozric Tentacles, and that is still my favorite. That particular compilation, which I don't own anymore, is still my favorite thing from them, just because I guess it was the first thing I heard and what's got me into them. But yeah, I absolutely love this thing.
Time out and stop you right there. I've got a package waiting for you, and I've redone the compilation for you.
Right on. I think I told you, but I gave my copy to a friend, and that friend recently passed away. So, but I just thought it was something he could enjoy and listen to. That was outside of dude, put it on when you're not in a metal mood and see what this does for you. And he apparently liked it a lot. So
yeah. Well, you got another one coming.
Right on. I appreciate that. What do we got here? Hey, I see we're getting a few posts, but I'm kind of curious. Tell us some of your guys' favorites. Hey, John De Laurentiis. One of my favorites to chill out is the Atmospheric Andreas. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher that name. There you go. White Winds album. Yep, that's a great. I know the name, but I don't know the album, so I'll have to check into that one.
That's a great record too, by the way.
John's been on the show before. I think he did one of our prog metal shows with our prog rock shows.
That's right. So.
Yeah. Anyhow, right on. So who's up next?
Devo.
So for those of you that are Hendrix fans, you guys know about the Band of Gypsies. So the first Band of Gypsies album was recorded live on December 31st, 1969, and January 1st, 1970. And then they took the best of each show, and that became the Band of Gypsies album. Well, this is live at the Fillmore East. This is the first show from 12/31. This is the full show. This is one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix live shows. This is so good. The versions of Easy Rider and Changes and Machine Gun on here are just 10-star. Yeah, you can't go wrong with any of the Hendrix stuff, to be perfectly honest. Even some of the bootlegs that are kind of rough, it's still pretty damn good. But man, this early, and this was like 3 or 4 weeks after Band of Gypsies got together. So they weren't even together for that long when they did this. And this is just a 10-star show. So highly recommend picking up any of the Band of Gypsies, but this show specifically is really good.
I couldn't say it any better, Steve. That thing is a great rendition.
We're getting some interesting things. We got Vandergraaf Generator. That's a great pick. As a matter of fact,
I was just listening.
I was just listening to one of their albums the other day. It's right behind me. And let's see. I've been digging James Gagnon and Joe Walsh. Yep, good stuff. Wishbone Ash, another great one.
James Gang right there.
There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna pull this one's out of the fire. This is Ida Priesty and Andre La Jolla. My mother, this record's actually older than I am, believe it or not. My mother used to play this, and I have several other albums. But this thing is fantastic, and you talk about chilling in a different kind of way. It's classical Baroque guitar, and I could listen to this thing every day. And oftentimes do just put it on. But this is the original album. This is, I think, from 58 or 57. But it's still in great shape. My mom took really great care of it back in the day when they used to like label their records with their name because they would loan their records out, something I don't normally do. But if you're ever in a classic mood, I love guitar, the whole idea of guitar. I guess drummers always want to be guitar players for some reason, and vice versa. But this thing is great. This has a lot of childhood memories, and I've been listening to it literally all my life. My mother said even when she was pregnant with me that she would listen to this record to try and soothe me and calm me down because I was very active in the womb, evidently. But anyway, Priesty and La Jolla, Baroque music for guitar, for two guitars. And they have Handel, Scarlatti, Pasquini, Marcello. You can't go wrong with this, man. This is just fantastic.
Right on. Good choice. This is another one I got when I was a kid. I was going to youth group at the Baptist church that I used to attend in New Jersey. And I would show up to youth group wearing my Molly Hatchet, Jack Daniels, Aerosmith, whatever shirts. I didn't care because that was who I was. And I got along really well with the youth pastor. His name was Kevin, and I'm still friends with him to this day. But they would always try to get me to listen to the Christian stuff. And at the time, that was the 70s. It was like Sandy Patty. They were into, or the Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head guy. What's that guy's name? Raindrops keep falling on.
Oh, we know the song.
Yeah. Anyhow, that dude. It was just and they were just like pushing all that kind of stuff. Keith Green, that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with any of those artists if you're into that kind of stuff. But, you know, I was wanting Led Zeppelin and The Who and Black Sabbath, you know, and that wasn't it. So I would go over to my youth pastor's apartment because he lived in walking distance from my house, and he had a bunch of records, and he turned me on to this album, and I've been a huge fan of it ever since. But this is Phil Keaggy's The Master and the Musician. Honestly, one of the best guitar records ever. And Phil Keaggy's one of the best guitarists ever, in my opinion. He's not a shred guitar player, but he's very unique. His albums are all over the place musically, from rock to prog rock to this kind of instrumental stuff. I actually pulled two of them. The Wind and the Wuthering. Wind and the Wuthering. That's Genesis. The Wind and the Wheat. Another great just instrumental album. This one's almost all acoustic guitars, where this one's kind of a mixture of electric and acoustic guitars. There's actually a remastered version of this out too that you can get with a bonus track or two on it. But yeah, absolutely love Phil Keaggy, one of my favorite musicians. I even like his rock stuff, and I probably have 15, 20 albums from him. But this is the one. This is my go-to record. It's also good music for background music when you're alone with the wife, if you know what I mean. So I also pulled this out just because I'm going to give it a little bit of a. This is Cosmic Cathedral, brand new album, just came out this year, maybe a month ago, and this is Neil Morse and Phil Keaggy together. This thing's freaking brilliant. Such good prog rock. I'm just blown away by it. Matter of fact, somebody's going to be getting one of these in the mail real soon because I liked it that much that I ended up buying some extra copies and sending them to some friends. So, yeah, Phil Keaggy and Cosmic Cathedral. And that's it. You're up, Steve.
So this one's kind of an iconic album cover, but not a lot of people have actually heard the record, which is sad. This is kind of the beginnings of Americana. There's a little bit of country rock and roots rock here, but this is one of the most important guitar players of the late 50s and 60s who put out this perfect album. I think it was 71 when this came out, and it was a totally different sound. And this, every time I listen to this, it still blows me away. It's the self-titled album from Link Wray. This is so good. It's getting harder and harder to find. The prices are going crazy on it, but man, there's not a bad track on here. If you're into Americana, you know, like I said, this is kind of the beginning of it. Roots rock, country rock had been around for a few years. He was definitely getting in on that whole sound. This and that first Flying Burritos Brothers albums are both 10-star records that you should have in the collection. But if you run across this, man, it's just so good. So Link Wray.
Yeah,
we need to step on the gas pedal. We're at 40, almost 45 minutes here, and I still got a lot to show. So
okay, I'm gonna. This is a foursome here because for the same reason that I showed the Flying Monk, I'm gonna show this. This is a DJ named 2814, and I didn't know what that meant. He's a Japanese fellow that I saw in Amsterdam at this party. And I said, where did you get the name 2814? And he said that he had lived in Amsterdam for 2,814 days before he got sober. And once he got sober, he's never looked back. So 2814, this is ambient soundscapes to the max. Think about Blade Runner with a little bit of turntable work in it. But that's what this sounds like. And once again, I sort of have this affinity for that whole thing, like Robert Rich, Neurogenesis. This guy's put out like 50 albums, he and Steve Roach. In fact, they just did a show with Blood Incantation in Denver, and I'm sad that I didn't get to see it. And then I pulled Tangerine Dream. Speaking of krautrock, that's what they used to be. They were like Kraftwerk. They were just nothing but a 4-piece guitar, bass, drums, whatever, keyboard, krautrock band. Then they went completely off the rails with this album, Sight, which is a double album, and it's just killer. My daughter used to say that sounds like creepy Halloween music, so I used to play it in my garage with a bunch of flashing lights that you could see, lift the door up just a little bit so it looked like there was something crazy going on. But if you're going to start with Tangerine Dream, start with this one, Green Desert. This thing is so amazing that this is where I would start. Not Stratosphere, not Cyclone, not Sight, not anything else. Tangerine Dream, Green Desert, and you won't be disappointed.
I'm gonna actually write that down because I don't have that album.
Yeah, that is, man, and it's hard to find. And if I have a second copy, I'd be happy to send it to you. But Sight, Z-E-I-T, which means time, is fantastic too. But Green Desert for me is a winner all the way.
Right on. I'm going to flip it around to another band similar to styles of the first few bands I sent, but this is Mike Oldfield's, and this is Airborne. Most known for his, Tubular Bells, which has been used in a bazillion movies. But this is actually my favorite album from him, and this is an American-only album. It never was released in Europe. It's a 2-album set, and the second record is basically Tubular Bells played live, and I absolutely love that live. I used to have a cassette version of this, and it was one of those extra long, and the whole side 2 was just the live version of Tubular Bells, and I used to just kick back. And remember back in the days before we had cell phones, and you would just lay on your bed and listen to music and dig it.
Yeah,
that's I used to do that all the time to this record. Also love the artwork, but yeah, this is
very cool.
I don't know, put this with the Jean-Michel Jarre albums because it's kind of in that vein, I would say. All right, Stevie, you're up.
Yeah, he's got another one called is it 5 Miles Out, where it's just the clouds and an airplane on the front cover. That's fantastic too. Yeah,
I've got several of his. I like his stuff. Again, got to be in the mood for it. But,
it was Tubular Bells because you were looking for a copy of it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go hip hop this time. Man, when this came out, I was blown away by it. I was a metalhead. I wasn't really into hip hop. This is kind of hip hop's answer to heavy metal. This is a super group, so it's Gravediggers. It's hard to see because of the reflective.
Silver Paper.
But man, this was so good. It was a super group. So you got one of the guys from the Wu-Tang Clan, Cool Keith. I can't remember where the other two guys are from, but they were all from big bands. This was like 95 or 96 when this came out. And this is horrorcore rap. Man, just check it out.
Did you say really, horrorcore?
Horrorcore.
Horrorcore rap. Right on.
It kind of created the sound with. There were a couple of other bands that kind of did satanic rap. This isn't satanic. This is just more horror and gore. And they did 2 more albums. The other 2 albums aren't near as good as this one. This is just one of those, again, one of those perfect moments that they put out. And it finally got released on a really nice vinyl pressing by Vinyl Me Please before they imploded. And then another favorite, these are, if I was to do a top 10 of hip hop records, both of these would be in my top 5. And the second one, this isn't the traditional cover because this is a deluxe edition, but this is Bizarre Ride to the Far Side, which came out in the early 90s too. And just a perfect album from beginning to end. They had a few hits, but man, there's not a bad minute on this album. Highly recommend this one too. So
I don't know what happened, Steve. You started showing rap, and all of a sudden we lost all our viewers.
That's okay.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I actually like rap too, so I'm not.
We're gonna lose a couple more, although this isn't rap. This is DJ Krush and Toshinori Kondo. They did 2 or 3 albums together, and let me tell you what, DJ Krush, no matter what anybody says, no matter what the documentary on Netflix is saying, this guy invented cutting and scratching with real vinyl. And the story goes, he came from Japan to visit his parents in New York City. He got stuck. He didn't have the money to get back, so he started doing this, training these guys on how to do, the cut and scratch thing. But this thing is fantastic. It's ambient soundscapes, and Toshinori Kondo is like the Japanese version of Miles Davis. So you have the turntable aspect of it, and then you have the trumpet aspect of it. It's very jazzy, very fusion filled. But this thing is just, once again, this is one of those chill out, light the candles, fill the tub with suds, and pour your wife another glass of wine type deals. But this thing is excellent. And do a deep dive into DJ Krush, and it's Krush. And I've actually seen him 3 times. I saw him once as the backup for the Roots when they were doing their acoustic and their turntable deal when they had DJs. But this guy is absolutely killer, man. You should check him out.
He was also at one time a member of the Yakuza.
Allegedly.
He's got a crazy. No, he's talked about it. He's got.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, you got to have money in Japan, and he had plenty of backing. And in fact, he owns several clubs. And one of my bucket list items is to see him in Japan in a small club, because he's amazing. In fact, my son, when he was still with us, his first 2 gigs were to see DJ Krush, and it was mind blowing for him and even more mind blowing for me. But anyway,
right on. My next one is, I don't know, you guys is going to call this new wave again, stuck back in the 80s, back when I was a teenager, but Gary Newman.
Wow.
This is still my favorite album from him, and I still play it regularly, but this is Telecon. I don't know if it's ever been reissued, but this album is always tore up. Do you ever notice that? If you find these copies, they're always tore up. They're either like ripped, and they always have major ring wear. And I don't know, maybe they went to a whole lot of parties and they had like beer stuck to them or something like that. I don't know.
The Two-Way Army stuff is really good too.
Yeah, the Two-Way Army stuff is great. And this is what, his third, I think.
Yeah, Pleasure Principle, was that the first one or a second one?
I think that was this. Actually, you know what? I have his discography, I think, right here. Pleasure Principle was the first. Yeah, it was the first one. And Telecon was, and yes, and then Telecon was the second one. And I love that song Cars too, and I could have pulled that one as well, but this is, I mean, the song Cars is what got me into them back in the day, and then I went to a store and picked this up, and I've loved it ever since. Very, very 80s sounding, I don't know what else to say about it, but it's not metal. That's what I got to say about it, and I like it.
Here, I'm going to flip through a couple country-ish ones real quick.
Now we're gonna lose the last 3 or 4 people watching.
This is not straight up country.
I'm just kidding.
So this first one's a guy named Amigo the Devil. I actually saw him at a heavy metal festival. He was the only non-metal person that was there, and he started with like 30 people, and by the end of his set, there were like 600 people surrounding the stage. It was so good. It's just him on a banjo. He's got a full band now. It's not as good, but it was just him and a banjo singing these. They call them murder folk, is what they called it. It's kind of murder ballads, though. I mean, it's songs, Hell and You, I Hope Your Husband Dies, just Dahmer Does Hollywood, just crazy stuff. But, man, he's such a good songwriter. The songs are well-written and they're funny. Some of them are almost like psychobilly themed or horror punk themed songs, but the country or to banjo music, really good. Next up, a Texas guy, Cody Jinks, who's become big all over the country. This is before he got big, though. This album is called 30. It's kind of hard to see. This is a reissue of it called Backside of 30 with an extra song. He was a heavy metal guy. His first band was a metal band. He decided to go the country route, and, man, it doesn't get much better than this. And I was just talking to Scott about this before we went live. Whiskey Myers is started off more on the countryside, and they've progressed more towards straight up Southern rock. And I think this is their most Southern rock album so far. This is from 2022, and it's called, is it Tornillo? Yeah, Tornillo. Another Texas band. These guys are fantastic. I highly recommend checking out any of their stuff. But this is one of my favorites. This is more towards the country rock as opposed to some of the country of their earlier stuff. So.
Amigo the Devil is going to be one of the openers for Acid Bath in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's crazy the bands he opens with.
Is he like a Hank 3 almost?
No, he's totally different.
Different than that.
It's his own sound, man. It's something. Somebody told me. I asked somebody if they'd ever heard him. They're like, "Oh my God, you gotta see him." So I made sure I was there at that stage when he came on, and I was hooked. I bought everything he had after that. So.
Okay, well, I sort of have this affinity for 90s post-punk kind of synth pop. So Portishead, I love this. Record. And Sonic, this is the remastered half-speed master limited edition vinyl.
The live one's really good too.
And yes, live at the Roseland Ballroom. This also. Boy Harsher, I saw them at opening for Power Trip, Carcass, Razor, an insane group, including Drab Majesty. It's a brother-sister team. It's kind of like I don't know, danceable synth pop. And then, so speaking of which, the queen of danceable synth pop, Billie Eilish. I don't know what it is about her. She's very haunting. The melodies are creepy, and the songs are just pretty killer. And so I actually have everything she's ever put out.
Miss William Eyelash is Rain.
Or whatever. And I know she's weird. They're all weird. I mean, think about all our musician people. Most of them are kind of weird. I mean, she's exceptionally weird. She and her brother. Oh, but so
cool Boy Harsher. They recorded those early albums, just her and her brother in her bedroom.
Yeah. And now they're, I mean, and I think this thing's a masterpiece, to be honest with you. And Ocean Eyes, Party Favor, Copycat.
Ocean Eyes is one of the best songs of the last 10 years. And she was like 12 when she wrote that.
Yeah. So say what you want, but 10 times better than Madonna. There, I said it. Go ahead, Scott.
Never been a Madonna fan, but anyhow, I'm going to go the Southern rock route. And this is, if you ask my favorite Southern rock bands, I'm going to say Blackfoot and Molly Hatchet. And those two, I love those two, but they kind of mix heavy metal and Southern rock together. So I obviously couldn't include them since they're more of a hard rock band than they are straight up Southern rock. But I'm going to go with Blue Jug. This is another one that we were talking about just before the show. So this band released 2 albums. This one's on Capricorn, and then their second one's on Areola. Blue Jug. Their main guitar player and songwriter, his name was Ed Ratzlaff, and they were touring with Skynyrd quite a bit back in their early 70s. I think this one came out in 73. and the other one came out in 75, something like that. And they were touring around a lot with Skynyrd back in the day, and MCA was going to pick them up, and they literally were in a meeting to sign the record contract with MCA, and they started fighting with the label over lyrics. And basically the label said that they needed to tone down their lyrics, and not that this is a Christian band by any stretch of the imagination, but they had some spiritual topics. And I mean, they grew up in the South, so they probably were growing up in the small town churches and that kind of thing. And they told them anyhow, they started arguing about that, and so Ed Ratzlaff walked out of the room. That was the end of the band. No record contract with MCA, and he ended up putting out two solo albums on his own that I also like. And he went way into the gospel route on that one. It was still Southern rock, but the lyrics were all, very much in the gospel route. But these weren't. I mean, you got songs like "Hard Luck Jimmy," "It's a Fact," "Poor Virginia," "Sugar Man," "When the Moon Rises." So, anyhow, Blue Jug. You can't go wrong if you like Southern rock. They kind of remind me a little bit of the Outlaws, which I almost also pulled, but I ended up going with Blue Jug instead. Although I do have one of the Outlaws records sitting here, getting ready to play the next day. Kind of curious if any of you guys like this album.
I don't dislike it. How about that?
Yeah, I don't dislike it either. I just haven't heard it in a bazillion years, so I thought, I'm going to pull that one out and give it a listen. Yep. But anyhow, Blue Jug, Ed Ratzlaff. I like them all four. It's funny because I said that I just sent Ed Ratzlaff record to Steve to check out.
So I had to pull some punk. I wasn't sure what to pull. I say that this is the first one that popped to mind. I was going to pull something cooler, but it just comes back to this. It's one of my all-time favorites. I love these guys live. Los Angeles from X. Just one of those perfect records. There's not a bad moment on here. I like everything that X has released. Just saw them 6-7 months ago. John Doe is just the bass player is just one of those Renaissance men. He did all the X albums. He's got like 10 of his own albums. He's been in like 100 movies. He's written a couple books. Really killer though. If you're interested in getting into punk, this is a great start. And again, this is another band that kind of went almost country rock on their next album. But man, just fantastic. Just one of those perfect punk albums.
I saw them at the Whiskey with Blood on the Saddle and an early rendition of Dwight Yoakam before he was signed. Well, John De Laurentiis, he proves once again that two Johns do make a right. And I pulled this. You speaking of Southern rock? I mean, these guys are from Georgia, right? Right up the road.
Right up the road. I've actually met a couple of them. I have that exact copy, the MoFi, signed by Cindy.
Oh my gosh, this thing is so great. My sister just saw them in Vegas. I guess they did a 2-week thing out there, and I thought that was the last that they'd ever play. I've seen them playing some big shows, but man, this thing, I spun this thing like you have no idea. Doing New Wave Night at the Star Palace back in the 80s, early 80s, and 6060842. There's a moon in the sky, and guess what, Steve? It's called The Moon. And Planet Claire, 52 Girls, Dance This Mess Around, Rock Lobster. I mean, you can't go wrong with this record.
It's amazing. They have this guitar or this surf guitar sound in Georgia.
It's unmatched. I mean, I love and you know what? You hear some of that surf guitar stuff going on in some of the early thrash too. So,
and it's sad that I can't remember the guitar player's name. It's sad that he died because those first two records are perfect, and they just never sounded as good after he passed away.
Agreed. But B-52 is the first one, the yellow one and the red one. Because what was the hit on the second one? Quiche Lorraine or I can't remember. I was going to pull that one too, but I knew we'd be. Anyway.
Right on. All right. because we're at the end, I'm going to show the two real quick, but
do my last two after that.
Yeah. I've showed this album a million times. It's one of my all-time favorite albums. I've always considered it a precursor to industrial, but this is Nectar's Recycled. I've got both versions of it here. There's a new version now that's remixed too, which is on my want list as well. But there's these are two different mixes. One's German, one is the US. I
Their first three records are like that too. The German mix is different than the U.S. mix.
Yeah, and the same thing. As a matter of fact, even the layouts are different. The U.S. version is a gatefold. The German version is not a gatefold, but comes with a poster. So
So which one do you like better? What mix do you like better?
I like the German on all three of them.
I don't mind. I like them both. I grew up on the U.S. mix. I basically discovered these guys. Went into a 5 and dime store, if you guys remember what those are, showing my age there. Mm-hmm. And I bought for a quarter each 4 8-track tapes, and one of them was Nectar Recycled. Another one was Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks, and Thin Lizzy, Chinatown. I can't remember what the other one was, but anyhow, my buddy still had an 8-track player in his beater car, so we would play those things constantly, and this thing just got played to death. That's when I discovered my dad had an old 8-track player down in the basement, so I pulled it out and hooked it up to my stereo, and played it. I don't have it anymore. I wish I did, but one of my favorite albums. And then this is prog/pop rock. I love this band's whole catalog, but Abacab.
Do you have all 4 different covers? There's 4 different covers of that album.
Yes, I do. Hang on a second. My computer just closed everything all of a sudden. But yes, I have actually 5 versions here. So this is a weird one because it's a Bulgarian pressing. It's flat. It doesn't have a spine or anything like that. But yes, here's the 4 pressings. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yep.
And these are all U.S. pressings. I have 1 Canadian pressing in here. One of these is Canadian pressing. But I picked up the Canadian one when I was in Canada. But I know that they went to the more poppy route on here, and people don't tend to like the poppier stuff. Same with Duke and the self-titled Genesis album that followed this one. But there's still a lot of prog on here, and even the song Abacab is just like an 8-minute jam.
Yeah.
I mean, but I even like the hits, like No Reply at All, Man on the Corner, and all those songs from here. But I easily could have pulled any of the. I was actually listening to Wind and Wuthering today, so I almost pulled that one. But this one and Duke, I don't know. They're just some of my favorite records of all time.
Number 3 is one of my favorite, and that's an opus, man.
And then I'll show this one too when I got it here. But this is Glass Harp, kind of a cheat because this is also Phil Keaggy. But Glass Harp was a late 60s, early 70s. I don't know what you call it, prog psych rock band. Everybody knows Phil Keaggy is a Christian and has a lot of Christian music, but this was his pre-Christian band. Glass Harp was, and this is their first album. And that's it for me. What you got, Steve?
2 more. I had to pull a couple from the 90s. Not only is this one of my favorite records of the 90s, it's one of my favorite records of all time. I have a tattoo of Jesus on my left arm. I can't get it over. That actually comes from inside this album cover. This is a mix. I would call it a mix of Alice in Chains and Pink Floyd. But it's Mad Season above.
Oh, yeah.
This is just one of those perfect records, man. I never get sick of hearing this. If I was to do a top 10 of the 90s, this would probably be number 1 or 2. I just never get sick of it.
Has that got Scott Weiland singing?
No, it's Lane Staley from Alice in Chains.
Lane Staley, and but it's got members of Alice in Chains and
it's Lane Staley from Alice in Chains. It's the drummer from Screaming Trees. It's is it Mike McCready
from Pearl Jam?
From Pearl Jam. I can't remember. There's one more too. And then the singer from Screaming Trees, Mark Lanigan, is on here as well. It's just and the guitar on here. It's some of the best guitar of the 90s. It's the guitar. He has this kind of Gilmore sound when he solos, and it's just fantastic. It doesn't sound like Alice in Chains. It just, because Lane Staley's in there, it just gives it that sound. And he wrote some of this. He didn't write a lot of the Alice in Chains stuff. Some of this stuff is really dark, and this is still him at the peak of his addiction. I mean, he was super doped up during this. They actually did it. 2 of the guys from the band had just got out of rehab and were clean, and the idea was to do this project as a way to get Lane Staley to go into rehab, which unfortunately didn't happen. He passed away a few years later. But man, talk about a perfect record. I wish they would have done some live. They did like 2 live shows, and that was it. And then this album, and the Live at the Moore Theater is fantastic too. And then the last one. So this is a kind of a weird band. The singer is the main guy. I can't remember his name. He had a really good band on this first record. He completely alienated the whole band. The second album was basically a whole different band with him. But it's him and an acoustic guitar, but it's with a full band behind him, and it's fantastic. It's called Days of the New.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I've listened to this a million times, and it's just when you want to just chill and relax and listen to some mellow music, this is the first thing that I put on. He had a second album it's not as good, but it's close. And then he wrote a third album that just got released a couple years ago, but it was recorded in the 90s during this same era. But 10-star record right here. It finally got released on MOV. This is one that had never been released to vinyl until this came out. So I was really happy. So that's it for me. Days of the New and Mad Season.
Okay. I'll be fast. I've mentioned this thing tons and tons of times. Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow. Yes, this is the Half-Speed Master, and it sounds great. Once again, hearkening back to that art class with Mike Stanner, my coach and teacher. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here. I actually sat in Death Valley on a dune and listened to the earth move while I had the headphones on while I was listening to this. So it has some real significance. And then I'll finish with something super modern. This is a metal blade band called If These Trees Could Talk. This is the Red Forest album. I don't know how to describe this other than a metallic ambient soundscape. It's mostly instrumental. There's some vocal stylings on here, but I don't even know how to describe how great this thing is. But so If These Trees Could Talk, and once again, like I said, they're on Metal Blade, which is weird that they would be on that label, because this doesn't sound like anything that would be on that label. But if you like that type of thing, like Leaving from Oakland, or even Bleed from Denton, Texas, man, this is for you. It just fantastic. And thanks for letting us indulge ourselves in cleansing our palate of all metal for just at least an hour.
Yeah, I just thought it was a fun thing to do. I mean, we don't just listen to hard rock and metal. I mean, I don't know a whole lot of people who do. Maybe when we were younger, but even then, when I was a teenager, I listened to all kinds of crap. But I still loved my metal and played it a lot, and considered myself a metalhead, and had my battle jack and all the other stuff. But
hey, just one more.
We were more limited when we were kids, though. Because
one more quick one that I forgot was Drain SPH. So if you guys haven't heard, so this is Mrs. Tony Iommi.
Those chicks rule, man.
This was her band. This album was fantastic. Kind of going for that Alice in Chains sound, but kind of did their own thing with it.
With a second guitar, though.
And I never get sick of this one either. This one's fantastic. Unfortunately, she married Tony Iommi, or they started dating, and she kind of gave up on the band, to be the wife. I would love to have heard more of them, but fantastic album. So sorry.
Yep. Right on. All right. Well, we went over a little bit, but appreciate everybody sticking around. We didn't really lose anybody, so appreciate that. Let's see, we got any more comments? That's a good suggestion too. I don't know. See, I always consider Queen a hard rock band, though. That's why I wouldn't.
Early stuff, it keeps popping up on my player. The first 3 albums, dude, they were way different before they went more pop.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were definitely. They were
like powerful, I said, man. Powerful.
They were heavy. Yeah, they were a heavy rock band in the 70s. So I think I told you I got a magazine that pairs them against Aerosmith for the heavy metal crown of 78 or 77 or whatever it was. But Aerosmith won.
Yeah.
The popular vote.
Stone Cold Crazy. I mean, come on. That's the same band that did Night at the Opera. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yep. All right. Well, you can. Let's see. Let me find the little things here. You can find Steve at, if I can figure out where the banners are. There they are. You can find Steve at Harmless Rebel 868 on YouTube, and I believe you're available pretty much on Facebook and every other platform as well.
Harmless _ man, I can't even say the word. Harmless _ Rebel on Instagram.
those wondering where Kevin was today, he ended up having to work, even though he's retired. He does work part-time here and there to make some extra money. I mean, what do you got? You got to do that when you're a vinyl fanatic like the rest of us. Matter of fact, a little thing popped up on my phone while we were doing the show that said the average person spends $250 a year on their hobbies, and I'm like, yeah.
I wish. Might add another 0 to that one, please.
Yeah, exactly. Anyhow, so you can find Kevin on Old Metal Rocker 66. You can find, where are you? We can find John at Carcass John Art on Instagram, and you can also find him at
128 DB Rock with Carcass John's alter ego. In fact, tonight at 10 o'clock, download the free app and you can listen to my genre bending list of superstars. And then there's always the Crypt on Saturday night at 9 o'clock. And that is the heaviest of the heavy. And as Metal Rob said, all the gurgling and gargling that you'd want.
So, and Metal Rob, what's his show?
The remember? Metal Rob Show.
Which is on every day at what time?
At 3 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Right on.
And it's actually pretty good. I'm not a popular radio rock kind of guy, but he throws in enough stuff that it's very interesting, and I gotta hand it to the little fella. He really has a good show.
And then you can find me on Instagram at No Life Till Metal. You can find me on YouTube at Scott Waters or No Life Till Metal. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram or any of those fun places that everybody hangs out on. All the old guys hang out on Facebook. All the young people hang out on all the other apps, but whatever. We're old guys. So that's it. Well, we got one more suggestion. Paul Rogers. The dude from Bad Company?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he have a lot of, I mean, I know some Bad Company stuff, but I'm not like well versed in Bad Company enough to know his solo stuff. So
Well, he sang in Queen for a while too, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't real impressed with that.
Come on. I mean, not
everybody. I mean, he's a great singer, but it's just yeah. It would be you could I mean that would be like Steven Tyler stepping down and Paul Rogers singing for Tyler. It's just not the same thing.
Not the same.
Yeah, we're Led Zeppelin. There's just some of those bands where the vocalist is so ingrained into the band's sound that
I think the only time that ever worked was Journey. I think Arnel Pineda knocked it out of the park, but that is an anomaly.
But even then they didn't really climb up any ladders. They kind of
no. They stayed on the steep.
It worked with AC/DC.
Well, yeah.
That's one of the few, but that was an exception because the singer died during their climb to the top. So yeah. Anyhow, we're gonna get into a whole nother discussion. So for episode number 278 of the non-metal roundtable today, I should have made that the title, huh? The non-metal roundtable. Anyhow, for episode number 278 of the metal roundtable, you know how we do it. Metal.
Non-metal will prevail.
Non-metal.
Non-metal will prevail too. DJ.